Hello, everyone, and thank you for watching this first episode of Panels and Ink. I only thought it would be fair to tell you where my love of comic book collecting began to establish a rapport between us. You see, my story is probably no different from a lot of you watching. I didn't get my first real comic book until the early 1990s when my father one day came home with this. DC 100 page Super Spectacular presents Superman number 18. From then on, it was my father who would bring home Superman comics, including the great saga of the death of Superman, which really got me latched onto the hobby. Some Batmans would trickle in, including Bane breaking Batman's back and really going hardcore into horror with Tales from the Crypt. But since I couldn't drive, anytime I was able to get a ride or find someone who was going anywhere, I would try to find an LCS, a local comic book store. I would walk into these LCSs and buy comics based on covers without even knowing what characters were on them. You see, kids, we used to do the same things with music and our movies. But in 1992, I was able to purchase my first series from the start, Savage Dragon by Eric Larson from Image Comics. And the cover really spoke to me. I liked the look of the dragon, and it reminded me of Superman with the action on the cover, even though Superman doesn't have green skin or a fin on his head. Other comics followed suit, like the likes of Evil Ernie and a few X-Men books due to the comic book series on Saturday morning. And then every horror type comic I could find, including my favorite horror series of all time, Halloween. If I couldn't find comics at my LCS, I would order them blindly. But I was always on the lookout for my favorite character of all time, Juggernaut, who I believe is better as a villain than a hero, but that's for a later episode. For 10 years, comic books took up my free time, and then it ended. Life happens. Priorities take over. I lost touch. We used to get our comic book news from magazines like Wizard, and then the internet changed all that. But when you lose touch from anything for 25 years, you really have no way to keep up. Parts of my collection were being sold to help make ends meet for a time, and I lost all interest until something changed and relit the spark I once had. I had no idea one of my favorite TV shows was based on Robert Kirkman's work and how much the first print of The Walking Dead was going for at the time. And shows like Comic Book Man really got me back into collecting. But I didn't know how to reset. So I started getting feeds on comic book specs on my socials and found out that a series called Cross by Garth Ennis was being spec'd. And I went to a new LCS and found copies, which I hope was going to be the new Walking Dead. Have you read any of these books? For the past 2 years, I've been playing catch up, buying whatever I can, and following comic book writers like Chip Zdarsky, James Tynion, Scott Snyder, and artists like, I don't know, Eric Zawalski and Jorge Jimenez, just to name a few. Now, since getting back into comics, I have gone from a small storage container from whatever I had left over from the comic books I sold to over 2,000, taking up the space in my walk-in closet. Comics have now taken over my Halloween and horror collections and are probably worth more at this point. My wife is going to kill me one day unless I get a storage unit because my collection is growing rapidly. For now, my passion is back. Not only am I following the writers and artists from my youth, but watching the ones today. I'm always on the hunt and learning from other channels like Mint Hunter Comics and Lunch Money Comics. I don't know how long that's going to last, but as of now, I am at my LCS weekly looking for more space in closets in my house to store my collection. And thankfully, I haven't been smelling lighter fluid because my wife is going to light a match one day. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this quick episode. I hope to see you in the next episode where I'm going to be diving into what I've learned since getting back into comics. And until then, thanks again and take care. Some. Superman really isn't green and doesn't have a fin in it. It doesn't have a fin. Oh, I like the look of the but then you lose touch. But I had no idea the one itching again.